Well, good evening, young man and young lady. This is Papaw, Rick. I am not a barbecue pit master by any means of the word. I do have my grill on. In this case, I'm cooking on low on 3 of my 4 burners. I don't know if you're familiar with these. These are really neat. These, you can get these at a restaurant supply house. They're like $6, $7 a piece. It's 9 by 13. It's perfect for bacon. It's perfect for bringing all of your ingredients and condiments out that you're going to use, spices and everything. Sits right here on the side tray. It's wonderful. Especially, I found it especially helpful when I used when I first started and had the 28-inch with the 2 burners. Over here, I'll show you in a minute. Off that way, I take my lid off of the top of the griddle and I put it on a large garbage can. And it's got a table, and I've got a big like tray you would use at school in the cafeteria, and that's what I bring everything out on, and it's all set and ready to go. And I'll show you that in a few minutes also. And this is a really neat tool. This is a Blackstone. It comes in a kit. You can get it from Walmart, and it comes with another one of these and another one of these things. And this is great for cleaning the grill top, and you'll see me use this. It's bladed on one side, and your hands don't get hot, and I'll show you why it's really important a little later after I clean up from the bacon. So normally I take the bacon out of the package, right out of the package, and put on here, but it's a lot quicker, and for presentation purposes, to speed it up, I'll just put these on. Today I'm making bacon, egg, and cheese RickMuffins. I'll use 5 slices of bacon, and I'll cut them in half, break them in half once I'm done, and I'll put 2.5 slices on each muffin. And while those are starting to warm up, these muffins that we use are Old Bay muffins. Or bay muffins. You can get them in dairy counters, usually back there around the eggs and stuff, and they're real authentic British muffins. If you buy those that are Henry's or whatever they are in the bread section, they're hard as a rock, they taste like cardboard, and they aren't sliced. And these come sliced, which I'll show you in a few minutes. You just pop them open, put them on, toast them, and you're done. And they're not but about 50 cents more expensive than what you would get if you get the Henry's or whatever they call that stuff in the bread section. So what I'm going to do now, I was going to show you. I noticed in your photo you sent, that you had your oil bottle sitting right here. I learned not to do that early on, because what happens, it won't melt the bottle. But if you have any oil on the outside at all, it'll actually bake into the plastic, and then you end up having to throw it away. This is really good here too. I have a second bottle, and I got my bottles from Walmart, and I got them online because they don't sell them in the store, or sometimes don't. You want this for water. Water is the best thing in the world for cleaning your grill top. When you get like bacon, all that residue that's on there, or a steak or ribeyes or whatever, chicken, and it sticks to your griddle top some, put this on and use that big long handle scraper I showed you. It'll take it right off. So it makes cleanup and getting it ready for the next part of your cook a lot easier. And I set them over here on my tabletop I made. So I'm going to go ahead and let my bacon cook, and then I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, the bacon's ready to come off. Now what I do, I don't know how you are about having a lot of excess grease in your diet. I try to minimize the grease as much as possible, and I lay out some paper towels, usually 2 thick, and I set my bacon on here and let it start absorbing all the fat, the greasy stuff, because I don't feel like that's very healthy, especially when it comes to pork. But I set it over here, And I do this ahead of time or while I'm making the bacon. It depends on how big a hurry I'm in. And another thing, when you don't just set these, if you've got a holder, tool holder, don't just set them on there. Wipe them off your paper towel. Otherwise, it'll drop on your concrete and it'll make a mess. But what I like to do now is to get the grease off the top side. I just do this. And I come all the way across. And usually, Beverly, your grandmother, her job normally is to break the bacon in half while I'm doing everything else, but I want to try to do it all in one pass this time. So as you can see, it's almost ready to go. It's just got to cool off. Now, what I'm going to do now is take my water and I'm going to put it on here. This long handle is going to keep me from getting fried, and it just takes all that bacon stuff right off. And that way it gets ready for the next part of my cook, which will be putting the butter down and actually putting the eggs on. Okay, I take and fold up a double paper towel like this to get all the residue off, and that way I have a good griddle top when I get ready to start, because the next step I'm going to put the butter down. And I have another tray like this on my other shelf where I keep my my other scraper. This I bought at the restaurant supply house. It's a little butter knife. It cost me like $3, I think. When I do the eggs and toast the muffins, I put the butter on. I found that the oil causes the eggs to get hard on one side and almost gets a hard, chewy film, unchewable film. So we put a little butter on, and we use the Amish butter you find in the grocery store. The best tasting butter we found. And then I just spread this stuff around, and I've got enough for the eggs and for the muffins. And believe it or not, I've got a couple of other uses for this butter. It might surprise you, but it works really well. Okay. I always let my eggs set out overnight. They cook a lot quicker and they're easier. And we like getting the jumbo eggs from Walmart just for this, because you get so much more egg. I don't scramble them. Now what I do with these egg rigs I sent you, they're stick resistant or non-stick, but they stick anyway. So what I do is put a little Pam on them. I go off to the side. I used to walk out in the yard, and sometimes still do, and just spray the Pam and put them on and let them sit for about a minute. Let them heat up, because when you put the eggs in, you can't really do much until the sides of the eggs have turned white, the egg whites. And so once they've cooked, then you can lift it up and flip them over. Sometimes they stick, and if you try to lift it up, it's just going to leave you a big mess with egg yolks all over the griddle top. So let those warm up. One of the nice things about the jumbo eggs is a lot of times you'll get a double yolk, and it's like a crapshoot. You never know, but it's always fun. If these aren't centered up, if the yolk isn't centered up and away from the edge, you can take your little butter knife and just sort of slide it over without breaking your yolk. And that way it's easier to turn. That one got close, but it's okay. Now while I'm doing that, I'll take my muffins out. Now, your grandmother she has to have her whole wheat because of her diabetes, and I have the white, so I don't care. And when I do the first toast, I put the top side of the bottom down. And you'll see, and I turn the other reverse on the other side. And the reason I do that is I want to flip these over once the eggs are almost done. When I turn the eggs over, then they'll be good and toasted and hot. And in the process, while I'm waiting on the eggs to finish on the second side, I'll break the bacon, which I'm getting ready to start doing now. And then it goes, it's a pretty quick process after that. And the eggs are coming along nicely. Now this is one of the, I take and put more butter on this knife, so when you go around the edge of the egg ring, it slides right along and the white, the egg white doesn't stick to the knife. Sometimes it'll do that if it's not quite done. Now let's see what we've got. Not bad. Go together. And that one might not. I do the same thing with my spatula. But don't hold on to it too long because it will really fly your hand. And I move this back out of the way a little bit, come straight under it. And I just flip. And if there's any excess, push it off to the side and okay. Now we're going to flip these over. And I'm going to put the bacon on. And I just crisscross them like this. And this beats anything McDonald's sells. Trust me. Now, depending on whether you like your yolks runny or gelled or whether you like them hard, depends on how long you leave them on. But you don't want to leave them on too long. That's about as hard as you want to get it, because otherwise it begins to get that film on it, and you don't want to do that. Now, the final step, next to the final step, is the cheese. We use the Kraft in the individual slices. I open it ahead of time, so it's really easy just to peel them out when the time comes and just set them on there. If you have to try to, I've spent the old way of trying to open them up and couldn't get them, and then my eggs burn up. So I open them ahead of time. Let them sit here for about, however long, 20, 30 seconds, it doesn't matter. Because the bun's hot, the bacon's still warm, and the eggs are really hot, so you're just gonna get a perfect sandwich. Then I take my short scraper, put them on here, put the lid on, and then Miss Beverly, she's my helper. Say hi.
Hey.
Then she's got,
concentrate here, so.
she has the plates. Well, bring it over here,
Huh?
so they can see.
Oh, okay.
Right over here. There you go. And we have breakfast for supper. Okay, I think that's about it. I was going to take and show you, turn my griddle off. I'll clean my griddle off in a little while. I always turn the tank off first. That knocks the gas line, the pressure off the gas line, and then I turn my valves off. Otherwise, it might damage the valves, the gas lines later on. Try to be gentle. This is my little table I was talking about. That's my lid, my top for my griddle. And that's the big school tray. And I always keep the paper towels. I always have a dedicated roll to stay with my griddle. And here's Big Red. That's my Kamado grill. It's my smoker, one of two that I have. It uses a large chunk charcoal. Well, that was a mouthful. And then here is my Traeger pellet grill. It also is a smoker. It's electric and it uses pellets. I use it for the really long cooks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours. And Big Red I use for about 2.5 or less. So I hope you found this interesting. I certainly had fun doing it. And there's my tripod. So you guys have a great evening. Talk to you later. Bye.